I'm Michael Drives, and this is the 2024 Honda Prologue Elite all-wheel drive in Sonic Gray Pearl. Now this is the first all-electric SUV from Honda, and in fact it's the only EV that Honda sells. The Honda Prologue comes in three trims. Starting at $47,400 is the EX trim, and that's available in the front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. And then you can move up to the Touring, and then the top of the line trim is the Elite, and that comes in at $57,900. What you're looking at here is the top trim all-wheel drive Elite. Now that adds $495 of this Sonic Gray Pearl paint to the bill, including destination and handling. The price of this car is $59,750 as tested. All Prologues, no matter if you choose the all-wheel drive or the front-wheel drive, come with an 85 kilowatt-hour battery. Now in this all-wheel drive, guys, you have 288 horsepower available to you, and if you were to choose the front-wheel drive model, it would be 212 horsepower. Now the big question is, how far will this car go? For the all-wheel drive Elite trim, you can go 273 miles on a single charge. Now if this were the front-wheel drive trim, you could do 296 miles on a battery. That's EPA estimated. Your mileage may vary. As far as 0 to 60 times, 5.9 seconds for this all-wheel drive trim. As far as efficiency goes, it's 92 miles per gallon equivalent on this all-wheel drive trim. Now, that's not quite as good as a Tesla Model Y or a Volkswagen ID.4, or maybe even a Volvo XC40, but it's better than, say, a Nissan Ariya. As far as charging speeds, the Honda Prologue will charge 20 to 80% in 35 minutes on a DC fast charger, and it will charge up to say 0 to 100% on a level 2 charger. It'll take about 9.5 hours. Now that DC fast charging, that's unfortunately limited to 150 kilowatts. So if you see a station that says 350, unfortunately you can't take advantage of that higher speeds with this car. But to get to that 20 to 80%, 35 minutes is not bad. The competition is just doing a little bit better right now. One of the perks Honda offers with the Prologue is 3 different charging packages when you purchase or lease the vehicle. You can choose among a wall charger for your home plus some charging credits. You can choose a mobile charger plus charging credits, or you can choose a package that's just a larger amount of charging credits. So you really have all sorts of charging options to back you up when you buy the car. As far as safety goes for the 2024 Prologue, NHTSA has not crash tested the car yet. Now you may be aware that this is a collaboration with General Motors. Yes, that's right. So GM partnered with Honda, or Honda partnered with GM, to bring an SUV to market faster than it would be for Honda to do their own bespoke vehicle. However, that is coming in the future. Let's talk about this one. This shares the powertrain with, say, the Chevy Blazer, but also the Cadillac Lyriq and the Acura ZDX. This means the Prologue shares components with the Chevy Blazer or the Cadillac Lyriq and also the Acura ZDX. What sets this apart from its GM counterparts is that it has a multi-link rear suspension and front suspension, as well as Apple CarPlay. So Honda took the vehicle but added all of its own software. So the interface that you'll see shortly inside in the infotainment system is very different from what you would find in a Chevy Blazer. Now looking at the outside of the Prologue, you'll notice that we have 8.1 inches of ground clearance, and this Elite trim comes with these huge 21-inch wheels. I believe they're the largest wheels ever available in a Honda. Moving over here, you've got the CCS Charge port. So we haven't quite moved to NACS yet with this, but we still have the CCS combo charge port here. And then coming over here, we have power folding mirrors. Again, you'll see this little sticker here that says pre-production model. So everything should be pretty close to what it is in the final version that you can buy today. But Honda just wants to disclaim that in case there are any glitches that we may encounter. You'll have a full roof rack all the way to the back in this gloss black. Now, one of the things I found interesting about the handles in this car is with most you keep your fob in the pocket, and to open the door, you just pull it. Well, that's not gonna unlock the car here. If it's locked, you have to push this little silver button here. And the same thing to lock it. You can't just tap the outside, you've got to push that button, and that's gonna lock the car when the fob is in your pocket. Having mentioned those 21-inch wheels, I think this design is so cool. It's unique, it's clean, and it actually should be easy to keep clean. Let's move over to the rear of the car and see what we have there. Now that we're at the back of the Prologue, there's a couple things I wanted to point out. First, you do get a spoiler up at top, and that helps with aerodynamics. And you have a wiper here, and the wiper has washing if you need it. But one of the biggest things you'll notice back here is the new Honda logo. That's the new Honda logo moving forward for their EVs. And then you have some badging down here where it says Prologue and the trim, which is of course Elite, and this little E to denote that the car is electric, and of course your all-wheel drive badging as well. Now to open the rear hatch, I could reach under here and push the button like on a normal vehicle, or I could use the key fob to open up the back of the car. But you'll notice down here on the ground, even though it's daytime, there's this little circle lit up on the ground right in front of my foot. So if I just put my foot in front of that, and it's so cool because it's a light that's actually going to indicate where I need to put my foot, it makes it so obvious that, hey, this is a kick to open hatch, and it is so convenient to have that light there. I digress. Coming in here to the rear of the cargo area, you'll notice a large flat load floor that goes all the way in. And then of course, if you need to fold these seats down, you can do that right here by just unreleasing it, and then you can push it all the way down and drop it in like that. Now you can see how spacious the cargo area really is. And one of the cool things, you've got these two lights on the back that light up the entire cargo area pretty well. In fact, at nighttime, it's a little too bright. It's kind of in your eyes. I wish they were more pointed in, but it does light everything up. Just don't stare directly at the lights. Now down here, you've got a little flip to this side. There is a 12-volt charging port here in case you need to plug in a cooler or a battery or something. And then if I lift up the floor here, you can see that there is more storage. In fact, there's this nice carpeted area for storage. There's a tow hook there and a place for your mobile charger if you want to put it in there. And then there's also a really deep cargo area right here that you can store some extra large things securely in there. Of course, there's this little hook here that's handy in case instead of holding it up like I'm doing, you can actually undo it, hook it to somewhere like that so that you can get in there. So I'm just going to put this back in here and we'll take a look under the hood. Now, before I open the front, I just wanted to point out how clean the design of this Prologue is. I really like how just simple the front end is. It's going to be easy to clean if you're washing your own car. This hood, I'm 5'9". This hood is not high and difficult to reach. I can reach all the way to the front, so I'm there with a wash mitt. It's these little things that just make a vehicle easy to live with. But going on to the front here, of course, you've got LED headlights and LED driving lights down here, fog lights, what will you? And then we're gonna pop this hood. So to pop the hood, I need to go in, or frunk as we will say, maybe, and under the hood, there's a release, and I'm gonna pull it 2 times. Now, it's important, it says 2X on the release handle. That means that I don't have to fumble or fuss for a little lever down in here. I've pulled the lever 2 times, so I'm just gonna lift it right up, and that's all there is to it. And it has these nice struts that hold it up. I don't have to fumble for a stick to hold up the hood. Now, it's so easy to open, except there is no frunk here. As you can see, it's just the mechanicals. You've got your 12-volt battery up here, your fluids for your brake and your power steering, and your windshield washer fluid. And then there's just like a whole bunch of space here. Could have been used for a small frunk, but that wasn't Honda or maybe GM's intention. So unfortunately, you don't get any storage up here whatsoever. Welcome to the interior of the 2024 Honda Prologue. You'll see that this car has this beautiful brown and black interior. This is an option that's only available on the Elite trim. Otherwise, in the Touring or the EX, you have the option of all black or sort of a black and gray combination of seats. But I really like the addition of the tan in here. It really warms it up. There is no lighter interior available on the Prologue, at least for 2024. Looking at the center console, you're going to notice there are 2 giant cup holders in the center. Now you also have storage for like a water bottle in the door pocket down in here, but you've got these 2 big cup holders. You've got this large area to lay items down in the center. This isn't a door, it doesn't slide open. And then you have a large storage area underneath here if there's a purse or just some you know, a box of facial tissues or something that you want to put under there, you can do that. All of these do include wireless charging for your phone, and you would just drop your phone right here in this slot, and it just rests in there, kind of standing up, a little bit leaning forward, and you can charge your phone there. Open this up, and you've got a little tray here for small items, maybe some change if you want to put it in there. That can go out, and that can be moved to the back if you want. And then you've got a large storage area in here as well. Let's take a look at everything from the driver's point of view. Stepping into the driver's seat of the Prologue, you'll see right away your battery percentage that's left on the car. So that's showing 99% and 293 miles, which is even better than the estimated EPA number. If I go ahead and turn the car on, and I do that by coming down here and pressing this power button with my foot on the brake, that's actually going to turn the vehicle on. And then you're going to see one of several dashes, or displays I should say, in the instrument cluster. And then moving over here to the right, we have the 11.3-inch infotainment touchscreen. So this is what is unique about this from its other GM counterparts. Is one of the coolest things is you do have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto in here. Coming back over here to the main screen, you have a few different options. So on the steering wheel here, I can choose to change the view to Maps. So it's going to show my Google Maps right in there because this car has Google built in. And then I can flip it, hitting it again. You can kind of see your driver safety features, your active safety features here. And then flipping again, you can go back to that dash. And you can change the content in and out as needed. And a cool thing about this screen here is it's also customizable. So if I want to, instead of having my phone there as something, if I want to take the camera and put that up there in that slot, now I've got the camera available. And you can do that, and there you can kind of see that this has a full 360-degree view in this Elite trim there, and then of course your very crisp, very clean backup camera. I really like that, but I want to close this screen. One of the strange things about the interior of the car is that it does not have a headlight button over here. And I looked and I'm like, where do I turn on the headlights? It's not on the stalk either. So headlights are actually controlled through this screen. Now, headlights, of course, you can just set them to auto, and that's all you really need to do. And that's why they felt that they didn't need to put the headlight switch somewhere over on the left. It's just get it out of the way. But if you need it, it's always right here. And you can turn it fully off if you want. You can turn on parking or headlights if you need, but just leave it to auto. Let the car do what it can do. Same for the HVAC. Now you do have physical buttons here, and you've got driver and passenger controls. Just set it to auto and let the car do what it's doing. I guess it was set to auto. And you can adjust your temperature with these very nice large knobs. Here are those two USB-C charging ports, and then you do have a 12-volt port here as well. Coming back to this, again, Google is built in, so we can figure out, type in anything. It connects to your Google account, so if you have saved addresses in there, they're going to be saved in there, but you do have this gorgeous big display. So a super awesome thing about this, let's test I'm going to recenter it, show it where I am now. Let's ask Google to navigate to Cleveland, Ohio. So I'm just going to hit the button on the screen. Navigate to Cleveland, Ohio.
Cleveland, all right.
And you'll see how quickly that loads, and it also shows you how much it's going to cost in tolls and what your charging stops are going to be. So I'm going to go in here. It shows charging stop number 1 is going to be 33 minutes. The second one is going to be 32 minutes and 13 minutes here to get to Cleveland, Ohio. I can scroll here and look at the 3 charging stops in detail. I'm going to go to an Electrify America station in Bedford, Pennsylvania. And then I'm going to go to an EV Go station in Pittsburgh. And here in Kent, I'm going to Kent, Ohio. I'm going to charge up, and that's going to be the charge when I arrive. I'm going to charge for 13 minutes. I'll get to Cleveland with 31% of charge left. This is this is equivalent to Tesla, basically what they've had forever, and they've had the market on this. So, I mean, if you wanted to take a road trip, you had to buy a Tesla before. Now you can charge easily. In fact, you can still use supercharging stations if you have the adapter from Honda that allow you to connect to the NACS charger, because again, this vehicle still has CCS. But this is so beautifully planned. It's really well done the way they did that. It even tells you how many are in use and what their speed is if you narrow in on a charger. Just brilliant, just really well done, really snappy. I believe it's running on an Android operating system. It is Google built in, and you do have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay if you don't want to use this. Not only will it navigate you to those charging stations, but it will precondition the battery so that you can charge even faster. Now, I'm going to show you down here in the center console. Again, you have this storage area. You have this large storage area underneath here, underneath the center console, where you can store a giant bag or whatever you need to. And then, of course, coming back up here, you have that wireless charging pad. Honda has this unique thing, I should say maybe GM, it's called a finger rest. So when you are using the touchscreen, you can actually rest your finger on this ledge here, and that's super handy when the car may be bouncing around a little bit on a rough road, so that you can zoom in or zoom out, push any button that you want, and it's gonna be handy like that. Now you'll see up here a little pedal picture. That's going to go into the one pedal driving, and you can turn that on and off there. One pedal driving, set to normal, and then you can adjust it from normal to high or off. So that's addressable in there, or you can adjust it in there. And again, one pedal, your headlight switch, and then this is just for any notifications. Probably not going to use that very often. Let's just get out of there. Well, I guess we don't need to. Again, this would be the controls. So you've got some quick if you want to lock out your power windows. This car does have a head-up display because it is the Elite trim. And you have a few other controls here, like your fog lights. Again, you've got auto high beams in this car, so you can turn that off if you wanted here, but we would just recommend that you leave it on. We as in me. Moving up here, above the mirror, you can see that we have some controls. Again, that GM product creeps in here where we have OnStar, so it's super handy. You can have emergency help at any time. And then, wow, what do we have here? We've got buttons because there's a sunroof. In fact, or we'll call it a moonroof. It is huge, it's glass, and get this, it actually opens. So there is a retracting shade. I can go back and I can close the shade if I want to, and that's gonna slide forward, eventually getting to the entire length of it. I'm gonna keep that open, but I can actually come back here and pull this. Let's see, I'm gonna push that up. Now it will tilt, but it will also fully open, so you have a huge glass expanse above the driver's side area, which is just really, really nice to see a glass moonroof that will open that far and that wide. If I want to close it, I'm just going to one-touch tap that, and now it's closed. Now you may have noticed on the A-pillar that there is a Bose tweeter on there. That's because this Elite trim, and actually the Touring trim as well, has the 12-speaker Bose audio system that includes 12 speakers. There is a subwoofer in there, and it sounds very good, very clean for a Bose system. I do love it. Now, if you get the EX trim, you're going to get the 6-speaker audio system. I would definitely consider going for this Bose. You can see down here that in this Elite trim, we have heated and cooled seats, and they are perforated. I should say cooled, ventilated seats. And then if you want to take a look at the back seats, we're going to crawl back in there in a second, and I can give you a detail of what is available back there. Now, this being the Elite trim, there is a sport mode that you can shift into. And while this is the reverse neutral drive, this is your gear selector, theoretically, there is no, traditionally you'd find a sport button down here if you wanted to change modes in a lot of vehicles. Actually, in this car, it's oddly tucked away down here. So you're going to have to hit the sport button there. It will indicate sport down there with a little speedometer, odometer, and a squiggly road. I guess that's supposed to mean sport. Something more obvious would probably be nicer to know that that's on. And then if you want to push it off, you push that button, it's gone there. Now, I looked and looked for the release for the trunk, the hatch, right? And it's not there where you would expect it to be or anywhere. You have to find it. It's tucked behind this little thing. So if you want to release the hatch, if someone needs to load in some luggage, if you're picking up the airport, you got to hit that button, but you cannot easily see it down in there. You just have to kind of know where it is, and now you know. Again, that hood release that I pulled twice, that's down there. So you're just going to pull that 2 times to open the hood, which has no frunk. Finally, before we jump to the back seat, I wanted to show you that there are some controls behind the steering wheel. So if you want to adjust the regen, you're actually going to hit this little paddle here on the left side of the steering wheel, and that's going to adjust the different levels of regeneration. It's not going to display anything right now. I'm clicking it until we are driving. And then there are buttons behind here, so you can change the volume and you can change the channel. You just kind of have to feel for them. I can kind of zoom around here if I open the door. And you'll see on this side, there are 3 buttons, 1 paddle shifter and 2 infotainment control buttons. And then if I come around here on the right side where your right hand is gonna be, let's see if I can get that in focus. Welcome to the rear of the 2024 Prologue. One of the first things you'll notice is, how much legroom this car has. Now, this passenger seat is past the B-pillar, so it's tilted back fairly far. And I'm 5'9", I've got a full hand's worth of space here. I mean, really roomy in the back seat. No one is gonna feel cramped. And with this full-length glass moonroof, it feels very spacious, very light and airy in the back seat of the car. Down here on the back of the center console, you've got your vents here. And then down here, you've got 2 USB-C ports as well for your rear seat passenger and a 110 volt outlet here in the Elite trim. That's super handy if someone's in the car and needs to plug in a laptop, you can, or something else that only has 110 volt, say it doesn't have a USB-C connector, it's gonna connect right there and you can plug just about anything in there that you want within reason. You'll notice on the seats here, these ISOFIX points are really, really easy to access. So if you have child seats that need to go in here, you're gonna have no problem getting those connected and unconnected. You won't be fumbling for a bar to clip onto or connection point. Now, as far as headroom, it's a little tight for me back here. Again, the car is sloped. So, you know, taller people may find it challenging. They may just have to, you know, lean back a little bit. I'm not quite sure. So while you have plenty of leg room, the height here is gonna be a little tight for some people. If you have a slightly taller person, man, I don't know, maybe put them in the middle and open the roof visor like it is now. Now, you've got a large armrest here in the center. It's actually very wide and you've got 2 cup holders in there. And one of the cool things, I don't know if you can see it in the frame right now, but of course this is an EV, the back floor is completely flat. So there's no hump in the middle for drivetrain components. Even though this is the all-wheel drive, it just has an electric motor in the front and in the back for all-wheel drive. Now that we've seen the back seat of the car, let's go for a drive and see how it performs. Okay, we're headed out for the drive portion of this. Quietly pulling away, you can hear a little bit of that pedestrian warning, possibly. I'm not sure if you can on the video. It's very subtle, but I'm using the built-in Google to navigate right now. And so far, super easy. Everything is beautifully displayed in the instrument gauge as well as in the center screen. Now I can change those out on either side to view something else, but for right now I've got notifications off so it's not going to interrupt. And just heading out right now with this independent multi-link front and rear suspension, the car is very smooth. In fact, it's a little bit soft. I wouldn't call it a sporty ride. However, the steering feels really good, maybe just a little bit over assisted. And I know if I switch this into sport mode, which I can do down here, it is going to tighten things up and make the car quite a bit more responsive, as well as the steering. And it's going to change a few other dynamics as well. So 0 to 60 in 5.9 seconds, according to Car and Driver. I can verify that it does feel very quick, however, not one of the quickest models that's out there, but more than enough, more than any internal combustion car is going to be. I'm going over some terrible pavement, as I always do in this section, and the car is handling it just fine. If there was more than myself in the car, obviously it's going to be further planted down and ride even smoother without any other sort of interruptions or unsettling of the body. So I'm getting down here. I currently have the 1-pedal driving turned on sort of to the standard or regular, not the most aggressive, I guess, setting. And I prefer this one. It's a little less jarring, especially for passengers who may be riding along with you. Again, I'm always like, one pedal driving is, I recommend it if you're the only one in the car, but if you have others in the car, it can just make them a little nauseous, because I will get nauseous in somebody else's. But that, again, may be a Michael problem. One of the things I do notice about these HVAC controls up here is because they are gloss black, or piano black as some would say, it's hard to see with all the reflections exactly what button does what. I wish these were a matte color. It would just be so much easier to see when you're driving. We're good to go here. I've got sport mode on, so if I just mash that pedal, again, it's not throwing my head into the back, but it's going to get you out of whatever situation you need, or whatever situation you need to get into, it's going to do it. 5.9 seconds. It used to be super sports car territory, no longer. This being the Elite model, I have that head-up display. It's really bright and crisp. It's right now telling me my next navigation move. I'm going to turn left in 0.6 miles. I've got a very clear readout of the current speed that I'm going, as well as the posted speed limit. It does have that as well. Again, really clean graphics on the dash, really bold, very easy to use. I like this finger rest. What I do not love about this in particular is it doesn't feel very fancy, very high level. You know, the graphics are just kind of basic. You've got things in squares like you're used to, sort of like on a 90s Windows computer when it comes to some of the layouts. However, the full screen navigation layout on the instrument cluster gauge is very nice. I'm just gonna dial up the temperature. Now, if I wanted to ask Google to change the temperature, I could do that. I would just click this, adjust temperature to 73 degrees.
Okay, changing the temperature to 73 degrees.
And just like that, super easy. You can tell Google to do many of the different functionalities of the car. If you're not sure, just ask and see what happens. That's always my sort of way to figure out, how a car works, or how, what Siri will do on my iPhone. I just ask, and if I think it might be able to do it, oftentimes it does, and it surprises me. And I'm like, I never knew that. I wish I knew that 5 years ago. Back to the Honda Prologue. What I also like about this, now I have got the climate control on auto, so it turned my wonderful heated steering wheel on right away. But if I wanted to turn it on manually or off, the button is just right here on the steering wheel, which makes sense. I don't know why other manufacturers can't quite get that one right. As far as safety features, this has the full Honda sensing suite, so it does have automatic cruise control. You've got lane departure warning. You have nice indicators in the side view mirrors of if someone is in your blind spot. You've got that as well. And I love that when the indicators are actually in the mirror. It just makes it so much easy, because that's exactly where you're looking to see if someone is in your blind spot. I find the A-pillars in this car to be very nicely sized. They don't block. It's an easy car to see out of, which is nice, where some cars are just, so the view is so limited that you can't really see. And of course you do have cameras when you're backing up, or if you're pulling into your garage. In this Elite trim, you can see the full surround view, which is great. This Elite trim also has these heated and cooled seats. All trims have heated seats, and then I do have adjustable lumbar in here, which, it's very aggressive and it works nicely. So I think you'll find these seats to be very comfortable. I have no issues sitting them. Another thing to note about the interior is all these materials, the brown, the black behind the brown, the door panels are all soft touch materials. That's really nice. It feels high quality. Obviously the center console is a little bit of a hard plastic right here, and you've got this gloss plastic on the dash, but otherwise very nice materials in here, and it feels like a Honda. I find the pedal feel in this car to be just right. It feels really good. It's not too aggressive right at the beginning when you're accelerating, but it responds nicely, and the regen with the braking is very smooth. There's no herky jerkiness at all. It just slows down like a normal car and accelerates way better than a normal car. So this vehicle just feels like the right size. I'm in the city right now. I live in the city. It doesn't feel too small to be on the highway by any means, but it doesn't feel too big to drive around in a normal sort of city tight, narrow roads through neighborhoods and whatnot, which makes it easier to park. One of the things to note when I'm accelerating and decelerating, Honda has a sort of electronic acoustic sound, so it's a fabricated sound that just kind of gives you a little sense of, oh, you're putting power down or you're not putting power down, as in an internal combustion car, but it's not noisy, it's not obnoxious, it's very light. I'm not sure that you can turn it off, these sort of fake motor noises, but they're not invasive by any means. So now that we've taken our little drive, I'm going to jump back out of the car and tell you my fabulous favorites and not so favorites about the Honda Prologue. And now it's time for my fabulous favorites and not so favorites about the 2024 Honda Prologue. Fabulous favorite number one, the design. I think it's just a clean design that's not obnoxious and not ostentatious, but it's also not bland. It actually has some style, including those gorgeous wheels. Fabulous favorite number two, the size of the car. It's actually just the right size. It doesn't feel like a big SUV. It doesn't feel too small, too tiny. It's gonna hold a lot of cargo in there. I think it's really sleek, and I like the way the back of the car is literally sleek. Fabulous favorite number three, you do have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto available, so you're not beholden to whatever the manufacturer decides should be what you should use. You can use what is familiar to you. Not so fabulous favorite, the ride is a little bit floaty. It does not feel sporty. On the other hand, it's an SUV. Not so fabulous favorite number two is that charging speed. Now, 35 minutes is good, but if other cars can do it in 20 minutes, that 20 to 80%, Honda's got a little ways to go with that, increasing that charging speed so that you can take advantage of a charging station that will charge above 150 kilowatts. Final not so favorite, and this is just a personal thing, I would really like to see a lighter interior available on the Honda. You're probably gonna have to move up market to the Acura ZDX for that, but you do, at least in the Elite trim here, have the option of the tan, which warms it up just a little bit. That concludes this review. Thanks for coming along for the drive and the review of the 2024 Honda Prologue. I'm Michael Drives. If you liked this video, please hit that like button, but most importantly, please subscribe to the channel so I can bring you along for other future EV and plug-in electric hybrid reviews. Have a wonderful day and drive safely.